Welcome to the Self-Love Summit. I'm Mia Saenz, your host, and with me this week is Raul Rosiles from Soul-Based Living. Welcome, Raul.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Would you please share, and it's very rich, I've heard it a couple times, your story of how you got to where you are right now and what you teach?
Yes, thanks. Thank you so much, Mia. So I guess everyone has magic in their life. Everyone has something beautiful about their story. And I think story is so important, and what story we're telling ourselves about our life. I was very fortunate to have an experience of self-realization as a 4-year-old child. So there was an explosion of light and energy, and I felt more alive, more aware, and my little 4-year-old mind trying to experience, what was this phenomenon that was happening to me. And since that moment, as a 4-year-old child, experiencing what I call subjective light, I heard spirits talking with me, explaining about the universe and helping me understand why I'm here. And so I've never been alone since 4 years old. I don't know what lonely feels like. I have all kinds of spirits around me. And if the spirits that work with me aren't talking with me, then it's who's ever around me or the house I'm walking past or anything like that. So I have this, sometimes it feels like an explosion of energy and information and having to focus on the material world. But the beauty of my childhood is actually when I became 9 years old. When I got to 9 years old, I started to think about the experience as a 4-year-old and thought, what does this mean? Why did this happen to me? And one of the things I reflected on as I got a little bit older was I didn't do anything to earn it. I wasn't doing a lot of praying or meditation or even wanting anything to happen. And so often people want their life to be better, and they're trying to move toward that better, progressing toward a better life. Doing something to make their life better. And as a 4-year-old, I hadn't done anything, maybe in past lives, but I hadn't done anything at that moment as a 4-year-old for this to happen. Sometimes beautiful things just happen. Sometimes a miracle just happens.
Right.
I always say to people, do you want to understand or do you just want the miracle? That. So then the lesson for everyone in my story, and all of our stories can help all of humanity.
Yes.
My lesson and my gift to humanity is return to that 4-year-old. And sometimes there's pain as a 4-year-old. Sometimes there was something scary going on in your family, something might have been ill, or there might be some trauma. But even if it wasn't so wonderful as a 4-year-old, and my parents were very violent, physically and emotionally. So I'm not saying that I had this wonderful childhood. It was actually very painful for me. But I will say this about my parents in that when I talked about these spirits, they didn't say, stop saying that, or that's not real. So many people tell me that they had experiences as little children, and their parents and their family around them invalidated that. I was incredibly blessed, and I thank my parents for, even though they were crazily yelling at each other every day and all of that, they just said, when you're with us out in public, just don't run off to give somebody a message. So I'm maybe maybe I was 6 years old, and I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. We're in Newark Airport, and I run away from my parents, and I'm tugging on somebody's coat, and I'm giving them a message. And my dad comes up and says, oh, sorry, to these people. And then he kneels down and he says to me, Raul, you're a little kid, and it's a big airport, and we would appreciate it if you don't run off from us. That's what he said. He didn't say anything about why are you giving them the messages or anything like that.
That's remarkable. I'm sorry, I have to say, first of all, that's remarkable. Remarkable.
Yes, it is. For how violent my parents were.
Yes.
And when I was a teenager, I realized you become more conscious of other people's needs. As a teenager, I started to think about the neighbors and what might they like, what might my neighbors be like. And I thought to myself, wow, what's it like to be living next to us and hearing the yelling all the time? And so my parents never discouraged the multidimensional reality that I was born into. So here's this little kid growing up and hearing all these spirits and giving people messages. And how did it happen? But the message in my life for other people is return to your innocence. Return to that little child that you were. And what was your dream when you were a little kid? Or what was fun? Did you like ride your bicycle? Or did you like cartoons? Or was it art? Did you like drawing, singing? When I talk to people about being very young, 3, 4, 5 years old, sometimes something really beautiful comes out of that. And we forget. It's like that person doesn't exist anymore, who I was when I was 4 or 5 or 6. They do. Right. We're really more like a tree and the concentric circles of years. So your 3-year-old's still there. Your 5-year-old's still there. Your 15-year-old is still there. And they want you to remember them. They want you to embrace them and live a full life through living all of who you have been in every month and year and decade of life. And don't let go of those things. People age because they have allowed their inner child to fall asleep. And so this is really important for human beings to maintain this aliveness of the inner child. And you can talk to your inner child. Maybe your inner child is in like a Neverland and they're just like been sleeping for decades. Say, hey, first of all, I am a wonderful adult. I grew up great, or I'm trying to be, and the future's going to be okay. Or I want it to be better if you don't feel like your current life is okay. And your inner child absolutely can help you. It would be like having a whole new version of yourself, a whole new refreshed version of yourself. If you can awaken your inner child, you'll feel that there's something alive inside of you. Think about a 4-year-old. Think about how they're running around and jumping, and if they fall, they just get right back up. Have you seen an adult fall? They can be lying there for 15 minutes. A little kid will go bam,
and go bonk back up.
Bounce right back up. They don't even know it's a hurt, or we haven't taught them that yet. So they just jump up and they keep going. And also how children feel. When people tell me, some people won't come for a consultation with me, but their friends and family really wish that they would. And so sometimes people talk to me about their husband, their wife, their coworker, their relative, their friend, their neighbor. What can we do for this person? How can they be better? They're going through some kind of crisis or something. And first of all, I say, how are they feeling? And if they say very depressed or very angry or very sad or something, I say, okay, that's okay, because they're still feeling. If they're kind of in this numb space, like a zombie, if they've just shut off, then we're really in trouble. If the person is still willing to feel, if they're crying, if they're raging, then there's still hope. It may be traumatic to other people that the person is depressed or very angry, but we're still in a good place because they're still emotionally alive. The problem is when that sense of wonder that the child has is so shut off that the person's just kind of going around numb. And that person has completely lost the sense of basically everything before puberty. You can see these developmental stages of human beings. When you find somebody that they're just not in contact with their emotions and they seem like they're kind of numb. They don't seem really sad or angry, but they're just not happy.
Right.
They've lost contact basically with all of their energy before puberty, so that life force is not there. Fear is generally younger, like before 9, so there's disconnect or trauma before 9. And anger is generally after puberty, where the person finds really what kind of world that they're in, or they think they're in, and they feel they don't have a place for it, or they don't feel attractive enough, or wealthy enough, or connected enough, or smart enough, or creative enough to do their dreams and to live their best life.
Right.
And so they go forward year after year with this sense of like an injustice. And so they're angry. So these are these kind of basic aspects of life. And really, anger, fear, and limiting beliefs are really the only three challenges that we have. Everything can be put in one of those three categories.
That was all so amazingly rich, complex, but yet very simple. And if we take responsibility as adults, we can shift out of those stages into something really glorious that we decide to choose, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Will you please share with us the enlightenment, the three aspects of it?
Yes, thank you. So, actually, enlightenment cannot be explained. So, it's as if we could explain enlightenment. And let me explain the unexplainable for just a moment. If you make contact with, oh, that's enlightenment, that's not it. So it's as if you're trying to put the ocean into a teacup. So the human mind cannot grasp the totality of enlightenment, because really enlightenment is everything. It's the universe itself. It's the life force of what's making everything exist. And so it's a little bit of a play and fun with words to say, if we could explain enlightenment, it has three aspects. And those three aspects are love, wisdom, and unity. And many of the traditions throughout history and throughout the world have these kind of three aspects to them, including God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and in many cultures all over the world, there's this Trinity vibration. And so with enlightenment, which is not culturally based, and if you read the wisdom teachings of the world with your heart, you will find enlightenment in all the authentic teachings in the world. They might call it a different word, but it's there. That's there for you. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Yes.
So love, wisdom, and unity in equal portions are the aspects that you would have to have for this kind of alchemy to happen and that transformation to occur toward enlightenment. So people are coming up toward the ultimate. You kind of imagine a triangle. On one side there's love, and on the other side there's wisdom, and at the top there's unity, where you become one with all that is. And so some people go toward the love side, and they're compassionate, and they want to love more, they want more joy, they want more happiness. And other people think deeply about things and care about the why of things, and how can we make a better world. And they tend to be a little bit more intellectual or philosophical, and how teachings can help evolve a civilization for humanity into the future. And we need both of these. The person just on the wisdom side can actually be very cold, and the person on the love side, the practical application of the love is sometimes not there. So we really need both of these kinds of people. And as you get closer and closer to your own enlightenment, you're going to meet. The love and the wisdom are going to find each other if you go high enough in your level of enlightenment. If you only go just with love or just with wisdom, you're going to plateau, and you won't go into that higher levels of enlightenment. And enlightenment isn't either you are enlightened or you're not. There's levels. And another very important thing to think about when we're thinking about enlightenment is non-duality. So when we get to that unity point, there's not yes and no, right and wrong, up or down. There is no opposites. And we can't even talk about that in human language. And that's why I say we can't explain enlightenment. Because we can say non-duality, which has two parts, non-duality. So you've already made two parts, which makes it dualistic. So you're explaining non-duality in the dualistic way. Mm-hmm. So then we can have a little bit more humility about how language actually challenges us to even talk about the divine.
Can I ask, as you feel that you call it enlightenment, I call it the spiritual of now, of knowing, of the knowing. Isn't it a sense of this amazing spiritual, well, amazing joy, complete bliss? It's a feeling, isn't it? Or is it not when you get to the enlightenment stage? Is it not a feeling still? Isn't it a feeling that everything is just so, I mean, things almost become psychedelic. You know, the leaves on the trees become so vibrant in its tones, and the sounds become so elegant, like an orchestra, and, you know, touch, the breeze and the touch on your skin is just so magnetically, you want it. And so when you're in that stage, everything is just really beautiful. And to live in that stage is where it's all about, is to continually open up and be in that place.
Yes, and that's the experience of enlightenment.
Okay.
But that's not enlightenment.
I like the experience.
So let me explain that.
Yes.
We can talk about a door. We can say a green door, and it's shiny, and it has a brass handle, and it makes a certain sound when you knock on it. And you can feel the door. But that's still not the door. The door is just itself. It's not anything that we're getting. So if you would like to do something like a profound spiritual practice, spend a few minutes with the door and don't do anything else. And just touch the door and look at it and ask yourself what color it is and how does the door handle feel. And just spend time with that. Mm-hmm. Also, the fact that it's an opening is kind of nice too. So, and then tell yourself, understand, all that you're experiencing about the door is not the door. The door is itself. It's not what you're experiencing about it. And so enlightenment is itself. It's not what we're experiencing about it. Yeah. So this is something that's very challenging for human beings because we're living inside our senses. And we forget that the world isn't our senses of the world is itself.
Right, right.
So enlightenment is something more amazing than you could possibly comprehend or that your senses could absorb. At the same time, it's more simple. And I feel for human beings, the most important thing to communicate about enlightenment is our tendency throughout all the millions of years of human history to try to get to enlightenment as if it was a process. To get there, I want to experience enlightenment for the first time, or I want to have another one of those feelings of bliss that are aspects of enlightenment, not enlightenment.
Right.
And so we're making efforts, and everyone is making efforts for something, to have more success in their life, to be happier, healthier, to have better relationships. And so we have all of these effortings that we make in space and time. Enlightenment gets further and further away the more you try to get there. And think about this. First of all, who is making the efforts to reach enlightenment? Just the question, who am I, is very powerful. And there's no answer, because you're more amazing than what you could put into words. The question, who am I, is something that can heal the world. Who are we, really? And going deeper into that question.
Well, I like that question because every year I spend, and a lot of people who know my work, I spend 2 months meditating, and it's, you know, it's not around the clock, obviously, but it's to bring me back to my core, to me, to my spiritual base, to, you know, to my soul, to the divine. So 2 years ago, my self-love program came out of a lot of meditation. Well, I think that was like 4 months of meditation. And the words that came to me, I am who I am. And so that's the name of my program, I am who I am. And that's because I'm the reflection of the divine, of all.
Yes.
That's how I... And so when people say what you said, it's like, I know who I am. I mean, that's why we're doing this summit, because a lot of people don't know who they are, and a lot of people, and do I have more to grow? Oh, of course. Am I looking forward to it? Yes, I am, So
Awesome.
I just wanted to share that because I was excited when you said that.
Cool.
And I have to share my excitement,
Yeah, and excitement is really important. I'm so glad that you mentioned that word, because another aspect of human life, as well as making efforts toward our better life, is which way do we go? Do I choose that way or this way? And some people have really good intuition about which way to go, and some don't. And they don't know which way to go. And people are wanting guidance. And I always tell people, what's your excitement? What's your passion?
Right.
What feels good? And I'm not saying what makes you feel better is going to get you in the best direction, but it will help you choose better choices, actually.
Right.
So over time, as you choose what's making me feel happy, what's making me feel good about myself, is going to help you to actually make a better selection of choices to even choose from. And what your best destiny feels like in the past is excitement.
Right.
You're excited about something, that's telling you, that's like little breadcrumbs that the angels are giving you.
I really believe that that's our childness, our inner child, our passion, our glory, when I changed my life several years ago, I thought, how am I going to keep this going? And so that's why I discovered, to me, it's just like a child, like you were saying. It's that pure, unadulterated, I'm going to just live and love. And it's brilliant. And that's why I was named the Passion Muse, because I was just bopping all over town, everywhere, and everybody's like, you're just really, have the spirit of a child. And at my age, I could have taken offense to that, but it was like, yes, and I love it,
Yeah.
So I love that connection, because it's if each person watching this can realize, oh wow, when I was 4, 5, and 6, I used to love to play in those puddles. Now they're dirty and gross, and but when you feel that sense of wow, and how that excitement of how you connected to something beautiful, you can bring that into our life now as an adult, and it's super. It's amazing.
Yes, it is wonderful. And also, there are times when people don't feel the excitement. So then the question is, if I'm not feeling really excited about anything, then how do I choose? And so that's when we have to go into some kind of healing. We'll feel excited about life anymore. That's that numbness I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
So then we have to really go in and see what kind of healing do we need to do to resolve this. And even just asking your inner child, hey, you can have space in my life. I will make time for what's fun for you. And really simple things like going to take a walk in nature, people often don't make time for, is incredibly healing.
It is. Smell, touch, feel, enjoy. Feel the vibration of the plants growing. It's remarkable. Sit by the ocean. Sit by a lake. Yeah.
Yeah, nature is healing.
Yeah. It moves. It moves like the universe, like our bodies, if we just can still ourselves enough. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had mentioned when we were talking before about, is it love is the process of subtraction?
Yeah, I say asking as king. So it's getting in touch with that royal
Yeah.
Of ourselves to say, first of all, the asking is reaching out, it's communicating, it's putting that energy in there and verbalizing it.
Right.
Because I believe that sound is one of the essential building blocks of the universe. And so one of the most important things to say to other people is what our dream is. I am not needing or wanting something, but I'm looking forward to this, or I'm excited about this happening. The podcast.
Okay, so you opened up the door, so I'm going to ask, and you ask me, what's your dream?
I'm already living my dream, which is to reach a level of enlightenment where I can be of the most service to humanity.
I love that.
And that's the moment I'm experiencing right now.
I love that. It's beautiful.
What's
Well, I too am living my dream, and that's because I created my life knowing that I could. I'm helping others realize that they are powerfully beautiful individuals right now. And that's my dream, is to help everyone understand that in this existence that we live in, on this realm, we're these spiritual beings in a human body, and we are amazing.
Yes.
So we are amazing. And that's where the I am comes in. I am everything. I am complete. I am love. I am whole. I am beautiful. I'm sweet. I'm kind. I'm giving. I can receive. We're everything.
Yes.
You know what? Time flies. And when it's a good interview, it's like, woo! It flies really fast. We are through. But there's a few quick things that we're going to have to stretch this interview out for. One, you are also giving a free gift. Would you like to talk about that briefly?
Yes, so I have a link for a Facebook page for Global Rebirth. And on the Global Rebirth Facebook page, there is a short film that I was part of called Rebirth. And it has 6 wonderful luminaries talking about a rebirth for ourselves and a rebirth for humanity and what that feels like for them. And
Sounds wonderful.
It's an amazing project. It's a beautiful film. We shot with a red camera. Michael Wisnew is the executive producer. I conceived of the idea and invited some of the people that are in the film to be on camera. We made a beautiful 17-minute film, which is completely free. We're not intending it to be marketed in any way. We just want to give this beautiful 17-minute piece of art to the world.
Wonderful. So maybe click like on the page as well, and leave your beautiful comments too. Wonderful.
Awesome.
And yours, not you audience, but thank you. Our credits will be on at the end of this show. Thank you so much, Raul, for joining me and everybody else. I appreciate it. Thank you. And we'll see you all in the next segment. Thank you.
Bye.